Hello, and welcome to Anime Audio Commentary. Today I'll be commenting on episode 3 of Code Geass. If you'd like to watch along, then start watching now. So last we left off, Lelouch actually led a successful military action against the forces of the Britannian Empire, which, really sort of cemented the idea that maybe with this power he could do something. However, the tide sort of started to turn with the advent of this new Generation 7 model known as the Lancelot, piloted by Suzaku. And frankly, the final outcome is yet to be resolved. Oh, I just remembered, there was that whole bit about the ceasefire, which Clovis did at gunpoint. I guess that would have been a good thing to mention. Lelouch, presumably by using his power, has snuck in and is holding Clovis hostage. He's also revealed that they're related, presumably cousins or something, seeing as how Lelouch is, in some regard, in line for the throne as well. And seemingly, the whole reason this thing is kicked off, or at least it's a motivating factor, is that Lelouch's mother was murdered. Wow. That's a rather harrowing sight, but there's something to that seemingly, as her final act, Lelouch's mother went to protect her daughter. Seeing as how Lelouch wasn't, directly in line or anything. I can't say I blame him for using his power to find out this information. It would be important. So that's interesting. Clovis doesn't know, but he knows who would know. And incidentally, he's not saying these two people are involved or anything. That's interesting. It seems like Clovis doesn't have any awareness of what he said under the influence of the hypnotism. And I wonder if that's going to be a factor, that people don't remember what they do while hypnotized. But wow, that's something, for him to kill Clovis and then just hard cut to, the student council stuff. I get the feeling this is going to become an important dynamic whereby he has to pretend to be a normal student, and pretend being the operative word becomes a more and more difficult thing over time. I mean, I'd imagine it would be very difficult to keep one's composure after you've killed a person. I mean, he did seem to sort of lose his resolve a little bit when he ordered that squad of soldiers to off themselves, but to actually pull the trigger yourself, that's gotta be different, you know? Yeah, you know, I really don't see how we could just sort of fit into this whole student life stuff now after what he's done. I mean, I feel like had I just killed somebody, even if I felt they deserved it, you know, I definitely wouldn't feel like myself, you know? I wouldn't be able to go about my business normally. And you know, that's something. This other student council guy, he's talking about, like, budget reports as if those are the most important thing in the world. And interestingly, you know, the civilians only know about, like, the poison gas incident, which, in truth, you know, that's not really what happened. So far as we know, there wasn't really any poison gas. And come to think of it, I'm not sure how that lie got started. You know, maybe the people who are holding that green-haired girl in captivity, maybe they were sort of lying about it. I guess the idea being that, you know, openly disclosing you're holding somebody captive is unsavory. And so, you know, chemical weapons is better by a degree. Oh, that's another interesting thing. You know, the political ramifications of Clovis's death. And by Lelouch's own admission, they haven't announced it yet. Probably because, you know, they don't really have any good answers. I mean, frankly, there are no good answers. Lelouch got through security, and there's no good explanation for why. You know, obviously, we, the viewers, know why he used his hypnotist powers to get in and out. But, yeah. Man, this has got to be a nightmare for the Britannian aristocracy. Now that's interesting too. Callan goes to school here too. And I guess like Lelouch, she's leading a sort of double life now, but for her, she's been, I guess, doing it for far longer. It's interesting, almost, that just sort of, like, changing your hair, doing your posture, just kind of makes you appear like a different person. Because she's sort of putting up this front that she's a very mild-mannered, frail person, but, I mean, seeing as how she's acted before, you know, we know that not to be the truth of the matter. I mean, she's doing a real good job of putting up a front to be so just kind of dozy as to not really react to a bee right away. Not that bees are, you know, evil creatures or anything, but... Ooh. Yeah, you shouldn't really break your cover in public like that, otherwise things like this will happen. Yeah, you know, something tells me Lelouch is being a little reckless here. I feel like if that little winged symbol appears in his eye every time, you know, somebody's going to notice it eventually. Alright, so that's interesting. Callan is of mixed heritage, and because of, like, everything that's going down, she naturally feels some affinity to the 11s. Ooh. Interesting. What's going on here? Is this another sort of, limitation, I guess? You know, it doesn't work on people multiple times? Or multiple times in quick succession? Well, I don't know, she answered 2 questions and he only said, you know, answer my question, singular. I'm wondering if it's maybe like a stamina thing. You know? Like it's a muscle you have to exercise, and he's not sufficiently able to enforce his will so comprehensively, I guess. So here we have Lelouch's sister, and I don't recall if this was mentioned before or anything, but she certainly seems to have been worse off ever since that assassination attempt. Well, I say attempt, her mother was actually killed, but, you know, I guess I assume she got out of it scot-free, relatively speaking, but, you know, maybe that wasn't the case. Ooh. Oh dear. So it seems like not even the Emperor knew about the experiments they were performing on that green-haired girl. So... okay, I guess that makes sense. They were covering it up as chemical weapons. Yeah, some heads are definitely gonna roll in regards to that, I imagine. Because, you know, let's assume even that the Emperor of the Britannian Empire is a real jerk. Surely he's not going to condone, like, human experimentation without his explicit approval, right? You know, just from, like, I hesitate to say a liability standpoint, but, you know, if you're gonna go all in on atrocities, you want to know about what atrocities are being committed, you know? Like, sure, he might give his scientists blanket approval on chemical weapons, but human experimentation is a bridge too far. So I'm wondering if this is perhaps the crux of Lelouch's motivation too. You know, he wants the world to be a better place for his sister. Because what little we've seen of her, she seems to have suffered greatly, and she does seem to be a very nice person. You know, kind-hearted and optimistic despite the trials and tribulations she has been forced to go through. I'm wondering, you know, she always seems to have her eyes shut. I'm wondering if it's like, sympathetic blindness. I think that's like a sort of thing, like, you know, sometimes you are injured and you inexplicably go blind. Or, like, one eye's injured, the other eye goes blind sympathetically as a response. Weird stuff happens. The body's very weird, but... I'm wondering if it's more of a psychological problem than a physiological problem, if that makes sense. Okay, so that's kind of an interesting, innocuous question, you know, give me test answers. But, okay, so that was just to determine he can still do it. Yeah, you know, he's going about this in a rational way. You know, try it multiple times, ask the same question. And interestingly, the professor doesn't seem to remember the question that he had just answered. So, I guess at this point we know that it can only be used with eye contact directly. It can only be used once per person, and the person has no memory of, I guess, what questions they're asked or what they do under hypnosis. So that's interesting. You know, if Lelouch plays his cards right, he could certainly do a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, who's to say he couldn't hypnotize somebody and say, like, you know, do as I command from now on. Or set some arbitrary, like, end condition that couldn't logically be reached. You know, like, I almost hate to compare it to Death Note again, but this is sort of reminding me of the mechanics of the Death Note and how, you know, you can sort of fix the way in which people die so long as it's something they could conceivably do, you know? Yeah, like, this is very interesting with the robots, which is a nice surprise, and the intrigue of it all. You know, it's starting to dawn on me that once they announce Clovis is dead, you know, surely they've got to have, like, a big funeral procession, right? Like, this guy's functionally a head of state. I mean, not a head of state like the Emperor, but he was, like, the acting, governor of Area 11, you know, that's not nothing. Like, as far as the 11s are concerned, he is the Emperor. He speaks with the authority of the Emperor and all that. Alright, this is interesting. There seems to be dissension among the ranks. I mean, I guess it makes sense, too, that as much political maneuvering as Lelouch would have to do, there's probably just as much or even more among the Britannian nobles. Alright, so I guess they're sharing a meal. Ooh. Alright. So Callan is being added to the student council by the request of the president's grandfather. So I guess the real question is, who is the council president's grandfather and what does he know? Because that seems like it's kind of, maybe not coincidental, but I feel like there's a bit more to this than we're being informed of. Wait a minute, whoa. I thought for a second Nunnally was, like, carrying, like, Pizza Hut. Hold on, I'm gonna need to see that on, like, a close-up or something. Because I thought it was a meme. Like, it was just, like, a meme that everybody would Photoshop these characters eating Pizza Hut or something. Oh my god. Like, is this, like, actual, like, official product placement or something? I mean, I'm assuming that it was actual, like, Pizza Hut, but maybe I'm just seeing things, because it was, like, a real brief shot. You know, as wild and crazy as things have been so far, the idea that there's Pizza Hut in occupied Japan in this alternate history timeline, I don't know how to describe it. Like, there's something... It's almost so silly that it's realistic, you know? Alright. So I'm wondering what the purpose of this conversation is. You know, obviously there's tension between these two. Mainly because, Colin now realizes that Lelouch knows more than he lets on. You know, he was asking about Shinjuku, which, you know, realistically he shouldn't know that she's involved about it at all. Ooh. Now this is interesting. I mean, I would assume that if I were naked in the shower, I wouldn't be restraining anybody. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's as good a time to talk about Shinjuku as any other, you know? Like, when else are they liable to get any privacy? Oh dear. Now, I'm wondering, who could possibly be calling them I mean, they know it's for Kellen. Like, I suppose a couple people could know she's showering, but like, why call her when she's in the shower? Ooh. Alright, how did Lelouch pull this off? Because he very clearly can't be in two places at once. Wow. Alright, so Lelouch has neatly avoided suspicion. And interestingly, sort of put the onus on her to sort of like lie and maintain a normal cover. You know, oh haha, it's just a video game. Alright, so he sort of neatly rationalizes him asking about Shinjuku the other day too now. Wow. I mean, surely Lelouch had to have planned this, but I'm just curious about how he did it. Okay. It's like a little hand recorder and a hypnotized nurse. Or actually, I think that was Nunnally's maid. And I guess, once again, interestingly, she seems to have no memory of what she had done. Oh, wow. Okay, they're finally breaking the news about Clovis, and interestingly, they do mention that he was murdered. I feel like, you know, it's not necessarily a given that they would say murder just because it's a rather dangerous thing. You know, they might want to cover it up, but on the other hand, this could be a pretense to really crack down on the 11s. Ooh. Wow, to pin it on Suzaku, that's something. I mean, he's like the last person who would have actually done it, even given the chance. Alright, well that's it for this episode. If you've enjoyed it, then by all means, tune in for the next one. See you, Space Cowboy.